Massachusetts. To most people, that name conjures up visions of colonial towns, Paul Revere's midnight ride, ivy-draped universities, and crimson foliage blanketing the hills in autumn. It's the birthplace of revolution, of reason, of progress. But long before the Sons of Liberty plotted their course, before pilgrims carved out their patch in the New World, this land held secrets, ancient secrets. And the further we dig, not just into the soil, but into the forgotten stories, the more we realize Massachusetts is built on mysteries that science, to this day, cannot explain. Let's journey into the shadows, where archaeology ends and legend begins. The Goshen Mystery Tunnel, a chamber out of time. So, our journey begins in the quiet woodlands of western Massachusetts, in the small town of Goshen. Buried in the earth, tucked away where moss overtakes stone and roots push through soil like fingers from the underworld, is a structure so precise it shouldn't exist. Not here, not from the time it supposedly came from. It's known simply as the Goshen Mystery Tunnel, an underground stone chamber about 10 feet long and 4 feet high, with a narrow passageway leading into a beehive-shaped interior. Constructed without mortar, the stones interlock in perfect balance, forming a structure that has stood for centuries, possibly millennia, completely unsupported. No colonial documents mention it, no tribal oral histories lay claim to it. It simply is. Some argue it was a food storage cellar built by early settlers. But here's the problem. The chamber's style is almost identical to ancient megalithic tombs found in Ireland and in Scotland, especially the wedge tombs that date back over 4,000 years. So who built this structure so far from known megalithic cultures? And why does it mirror construction techniques found across the Atlantic? In places where stone was carved not for function but for ritual, no tools were found. No artifacts, just stone and silence. Now, let's shift eastward to North Salem, just over the Massachusetts border into New Hampshire, but close enough to be part of the same mystery web. Here lies one of the most hotly debated ancient sites in North America, America's Stonehenge. Sprawling across 30 acres of forest, this site features a network of stone chambers, walls, and massive standing stones, many of which align perfectly with astronomical events, the solstices, equinoxes, and lunar standstills. These aren't accidental alignments. They're precise, intentional. Mainstream archaeologists suggest the site may have been used as a 19th century farmstead or root cellar complex. But the problem? Doesn't align with typical colonial architecture. Some stones weigh several tons and would have required an immense amount of labor and knowledge to move and place with precision. Even stranger, some of the carvings on the stones appear to resemble ancient scripts, Ogham, Iberian Punic, and even Phoenician. Are these fakes, coincidences, or fragments of a forgotten chapter in human history? And here's the kicker. Carbon dating from organic material found beneath one of the stones suggests human activity at the site going back nearly 4,000 years. That predates the Mayflower by a wide margin. It opens a door most historians aren't prepared to walk through. Let's move on. The Fall River Skeleton, a giant among us. In year 1830, laborers digging near a mill in Fall River uncovered something astonishing. A skeleton. But not just any skeleton. This was a woman, nearly 7 feet tall. Her skull was unusually elongated, She was buried with what appeared to be woven cloth and beads, and adorned with copper ornaments. This wasn't a simple grave. This was a ceremony. Newspapers dubbed her the Fall River Giantess. Some speculated she was a member of an unknown indigenous tribe. Others suggested she was proof of a race of prehistoric giants, a concept found in many Native American legends, where red-haired giants once roamed the continent before vanishing or being defeated by native tribes. But just as quickly as she appeared, the skeleton disappeared. Some say it was sent to a museum, others that it was quietly destroyed to avoid stirring controversy. To this day, still no official record exists of what became of the remains. So was she a curiosity of nature, or a relic of a forgotten race that science would rather not explain? We just don't know. Dighton Rock. The message no one can read. Now, let us talk about Dighton Rock. A 40-ton boulder pulled from the Taunton River and now housed inside a protective museum in Berkeley, Massachusetts. What makes this rock special? It's covered, absolutely covered in mysterious carvings, symbols, letters, images. But here's the problem. No one can agree on what they mean, or who carved them. Some say the inscriptions are Norse runes left behind by Viking explorers long before Leif Erikson. Others insist they're Phoenician, suggesting ancient mariners from the Middle East crossed the Atlantic thousands of years ago. Still others say it's Portuguese, possibly carved by Miguel Cortreal, a 16th century explorer lost at sea. And a few argue it's native Algonquian script, though no other examples of such writing exist. For centuries, the rock has been a Rorschach test for archaeologists and dreamers alike, offering no definitive answers, only more and more questions. How did a stone so massive end up in the river, carved in a language no one can read, in a land where history was supposedly just beginning? We just don't know. Let's move on. The Wampanoag warnings, oral traditions and ancient visitors. Long before settlers arrived, the Wampanoag and other native peoples told stories of sky people, strange visitors, and battles with a race of red-haired giants who came from the sea. These stories were dismissed as mythology until archaeological finds began to echo them. Red-haired remains have been unearthed, not just in Massachusetts, but across the United States. Strange skeletal features, non-native DNA markers, even signs of ancient diseases not native to North America. Some researchers, fringe or not, believe this could point to transoceanic contact thousands of years before European colonization. Maybe by sea. Maybe by land bridges long since swallowed by rising seas. And maybe, just maybe, those myths weren't myths at all, but memories. Let's talk about the calendar stones of Upton. Ancient timekeepers, deep in the woods near Upton, Massachusetts, lies another mystery. A circular arrangement of stones known as the Upton Chamber and surrounding calendar stones. The chamber resembles the one in Goshen, but here, the entrance aligns almost perfectly with the summer solstice sunset. Some believe this was a type of ancient observatory designed to track the seasons, harvest cycles, and celestial events. There are no records of colonial settlers building such structures. No farms, no homes, just the stones, silent, watching the sky. So who were the timekeepers of Upton? And what knowledge did they bring with them? So what does it all mean? We're left with a puzzle. Scattered across forests, rivers, and hillsides, underground chambers no one can explain. Massive stones aligned with stars. Skeletons that don't match our timelines. scripts no one can read, and oral traditions that speak of things modern textbooks ignore. Could all these sites be isolated coincidences? Products of misinterpretation? Or do they point to something more? A hidden chapter in humanity's story, buried beneath the very ground we walk on. Maybe ancient explorers did reach Massachusetts shores long before Columbus. Maybe they built, observed, even lived here for centuries. And maybe when they were gone, their legacy was erased. By time, by conquest, or by intention. Science demands evidence, but sometimes the stones speak louder than the books. Massachusetts isn't just a cradle of revolution. It might be one of the last remaining links to a forgotten world. A world that's waiting, just beneath our feet.